So welcome everybody to the Fabulous Life Ladder online training program. I'm Julie and I hope you like the picture on my first slide. For me it sums up somebody who has found a fabulous part of their life, even if it is just a beautiful balmy summer evening. I took it on our local seafront and it just seems to sum up this chap taking his dog out on his paddleboard for a beautiful meditative paddle on the ocean. So I'm so pleased you've joined. We're going to spend the next sort of 90 minutes in what I hope will be a very productive and useful session for you. Just to tell you a bit about the Life Ladder and what we're going to cover this evening. We want to look at learning practical tools that will really help to shift you quickly from what you don't want in your life to what you do. There's one key daily activity that you must do in order to be happier than you currently are, or even than you thought possible. You'll understand why maybe you feel that although you seem to have everything you want, you've still got a sense of dissatisfaction or emptiness. And why, when you align with your real passion, you will feel inspired to success and true fulfillment, and things will begin to flow into your life that you've been waiting for. We'll look at the 8 life alchemy actions that you need to take on a daily basis to really connect with your life that you want. Learn the fast track way to bring about positive changes and save yourselves hours of time reading books about manifesting, law of attraction, relationship issues, self-development, etc., etc. So why did I develop this program? Well, I found myself that life is a series of roundabouts and carousels. We just get carried away with life. It takes over. And if we're not very careful, we get to sort of a certain phase of our life and we go, well, what happened there then? And all your hopes and dreams just seem to have been left behind. And that's what we're hoping to avoid. There was a study done recently by a palliative care nurse, and she interviewed hundreds of people that were dying. And the first top number one regret of the dying was that I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Think about it. On what occasions have you found that you are doing things to either please others or just because it's expected of you? And it's sort of the way society moulds us. The second most important one was I wish I'd allowed myself to be happier. We seem to think that making ourselves happy is selfish, and I hope to show you through the course of this session why that isn't the case. It's about taking control of our lives and taking control of what we want, but it's about trusting in ourselves, our instincts, our intuitive ability, and the universe to bring into our life what's right for us. When we do this, what happens is synchronicities begin to happen, and they are these incredible opportunities that come along when you're least expecting it, and you go, oh my goodness, I can't believe this opportunity has come into my life. It's perfect for me. Now, this is me in the middle, and these are my 2 boys on either side. Alex is on the left, Robert on the right. And just to give you some insight into how this has impacted all 3 of our lives, Alex has always known what his passion is, and his passion is all around service. He's worked in the catering industry since he was 15. He's done his sommelier qualification. He did go off and do his degree, but even then he was still working full time in a lovely restaurant. And I've done a lot of the Life Ladder, well, all the Life Ladder work with the pair of them. And all 3 of us are now on a path that we are finding totally fulfilling, and life's opportunities just seem to be flowing to us at incredible speed. And that was really significant one weekend when I came home. It was only last year, and Alex was actually sitting writing a 10-page resignation letter from the job that he was in. He'd been there for 4 years. And it was in a fantastic restaurant where we live locally, sort of the premier restaurant in town. but we'd talked about where he could go from there to better himself, really. And there was really only one venue locally, and it was a four-star hotel. And we knew they were looking at opening up another venue in town. And we discussed that. And I said to him, "Well, you haven't already got another job, have you?" And he said, "No, I'm just fed up and I want to get this off my chest. I might never send this resignation letter." So I said, "Well, have you spoken to this venue about any job opportunities? Have you put your CV in?" And he said, "No, but I'm going to do it this afternoon." Well, we hadn't finished the conversation when somebody rang him and asked if he was interested in either opportunities with this particular company. Not only did he get the job, he then got, within his first 6 months, got promoted 2 levels above where he currently was to a duty manager for the hotel. And then, not that long after, he got appointed to a large chain of hotels. And then again, not long after, he got appointed to a large chain of wine bars in London, so he can use his sommelier course. He's on a corporate management development program, and things just totally went from strength to strength for him. And he's now living in a flat with a Thames views and a balcony, living a life he loves. He's even got weekends off now for the first time since he was 15, so everything has fallen into place for him. My younger son, Robert, on the right, uh, totally different, obviously, as you'll find anyone with children, they're all chalk and cheese. Robert's passion has always been water. He's a real water baby. But a couple of years ago, he didn't know what he wanted to do. I'd tried to introduce him to water sports, and he wasn't having any of it as a teenager and young adult. But I always felt that that was where his passion lay. And he was working in nightclubs. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He didn't have great qualifications. He was nocturnal, miserable, and not really having a great life. And I was at the time working for a college on apprenticeship programs. And I needed some young people of apprenticeship age to come and do a program for us where they were trained up to do try and apprentice for a day. And he reluctantly came and did the work for me. But as a result of doing that, he was approached by a company that sell extreme water sports equipment. And he had a phenomenal interview with them, got taken on as an apprentice, and within a few weeks had persuaded the boss to take him on full head count. And he's been there for the last couple of years, absolutely loves it. He has his 10-foot paddleboard. He gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go paddleboarding with the seals. Everyone he works with is involved in water sports, and he's just thoroughly happy. But he is now looking at his next opportunities, and he wants to go travelling. But he's certainly found his niche, and he's with people that he thoroughly enjoys, loving his life as well. Some of the other testimonials that I have from people that have gone through this work, with Anita, when I first met her, she was just newly out of living out the back of her car. She'd lost everything. And as a result of doing this work, she now has 3 successful businesses. She has a red sports car she doesn't live in, she just drives around. She has money in the bank and is looking at buying her own property. With Ian, we met about 18 months ago, and he was incredibly trapped in a very difficult relationship, obviously having to go through some life lessons that were repeating themselves. Very, very negative, very unhappy. And now, 18 months later, he's really shifting out of that life and into one where he is able to do the things that he really loves, and things are taking shape for him. Now, Michelle, when I met Michelle, she was practically a hermit. She had a lot of chronic illness. She was very, very trapped again. She couldn't drive. She's since passed her driving test. She's joined a lot of networking groups. Her health has improved. She's so much more confident, and it's fantastic to see the change in these people. And they're just sort of three of the people that I've been working with. So how did I get there? What's my story? Well, I started initially back in the early 80s as a beauty therapist and masseuse. Now, I did have a life goal, And at the age of 10, I knew that I wanted to work on the cruise ships. And I achieved that. At 21, I went off to work on the cruise ships as a masseuse. And as a result of that, I realised that emotion is incredibly important when it comes to being able to move forward with our lives. I saw people with chronic conditions, not just physical conditions, but emotional conditions that spontaneously resolved as a result of speaking about those emotions and getting them out of their systems. And that was phenomenal learning for me, that the body has this incredible power to heal itself, and that the impact of emotions can have physical ramifications for us, but also can prevent us from having a life that we truly desire. I spent about 10 years as a beauty therapist, and then I went into a corporate job, which actually was totally the opposite end of the spectrum, because I spent 20 years working for major pharmaceutical companies, selling drugs, working in business development, sales, training, coaching. That also taught me a great deal, because I finally come full circle. And as a holistic therapist, I am my complete and utter belief is that the body has the ability to heal itself if we give it the right tools and the right environment. I spent the last 10 years of my corporate life looking at different holistic therapies. I wanted to become more of a holistic practitioner. And I qualified as a clinical hypnotherapist in 2010 because it really encompassed so many of the different elements that I was looking at. I'd considered homeopathy, nutritionist, all sorts of things, but they didn't encompass everything, because at the end of the day, we are mind, body, and spirit, and those three things need to be aligned in order for us to be to manifest a life that is truly right for us. I also qualified as a certified emotion code practitioner, and I'll come on to that a bit later on the webinar. I work with people to help them develop their intuition. I am a public speaker, which is something that's also in my part of my life purpose, my life passion. I suppose I am an entrepreneur. I help other people to develop different income streams and residual income. So I am living the life of my dreams now, because all of the things that I'm passionate about, I'm encompassing in the way I bring money into my life and helping others to live their life of their dreams. So on this journey, my journey, which I found myself back in the 90s, in what was, to all intents and purposes, I had a lovely life. I had a job I loved, working in pharmaceuticals. I loved that corporate background, the people I worked with, the cut and thrust. It was very innovative. I had two beautiful sons, and I was extremely happily married. But I found myself in the mid-90s feeling very empty, like I was living somebody else's life. And I hadn't recognised that I was gradually deteriorating. I was getting less and less attentive to my job. I was withdrawing, and it wasn't until I found myself wanting to drive into a tree, really considering driving into a tree to get off my merry-go-round, that I realised I was in deep problems. Um, I went through a bit of a breakdown, really. I just couldn't function. I was just so tearful, and I had no idea what was wrong. I ended up having to take 3 months off work, and as a result, my company very kindly, they're very supportive, put me on a counselling programme. And it was sitting in front of this counsellor one day, David, and he asked me about my childhood. What was your childhood like? So I had a great childhood. I have really loving, attentive parents. And what's your marriage like? I'm very happily married. We don't have any arguments. My husband and I get on really well. He's a great husband, great father. My boys were probably 8 and 9 at the time. And David said to me, "So what would you be doing in your ideal life?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean if I wasn't confined by the shackles of marriage?" Well, that hit me like a sledgehammer. That had come out of my mouth before I'd even processed the thoughts. And once that had come out of my mouth, there was no going back. I had to sit and analyse that and really take stock. How had I got to this point and why was I there? I was truly and deeply so unhappy in my relationship, although I had been doing my utmost to be a dutiful, loving wife and mother. But once I'd said those words and the fullness of it hit me, I realised I was incredibly unhappy. Consequently, my marriage broke up. And fast forward to many years later, I found myself probably probably back in the late 2000s, around about 2009, 2010, or 2009 when I started my hypnotherapy course. I was in yet another relationship that I was unhappy in, and I thought I'd solved the problems of previous relationships, but I didn't. I went on to have another couple of relationships, and in 2009 found myself in a similar position to where I'd been all that time before. And that was what really set me off on this path of self-discovery. My hypnotherapy course was life transforming. You do a lot of analysis. I had a lot of therapy myself, and I went through so many different courses and programs, and I'll come on to how Life Ladder came into being. But the key elements that I discovered on this journey of self-discovery, going through all the different programs, the therapy, etc., were the following. We have a personality, which you can class as ego, but in hypnotherapy terms, we class it as our critical consciousness. And it's there for a purpose. It prevents us from making mistakes. It's our early warning signal. It is the part of us that has all the negativity. It will say, you can't do this. You're not good enough to do that. The whys and wherefores, and it's always challenging any decisions we want to make. And it's very useful to us in terms of keeping us safe. And when we were being chased by saber-toothed tigers, it would have been a phenomenal tool. But nowadays, if we don't manage it effectively, it can prevent us from making decisions that are right for us, appropriate for us, and the decisions that we need to make in order to live a better life. Now, our subconscious is like a huge computer. It stores everything that's ever happened to us. It's like a big machine. It files it all away for future reference. So, for instance, if as a 3-year-old you had your ice cream knocked out of your hand by a man in a green jumper, you may have grown up with a fundamental distrust or even fear of men in green jumpers, and you won't know where that came from. But if you were invited to go into a business opportunity by a man wearing a green jumper, your critical consciousness would go through your frames of reference and it would tell you no. It would say that you can't trust that man. So when we think about our subconscious, where it's stored everything, when we begin to tap into our subconscious and we learn to meditate, and meditation is the one tool that you should be utilizing that can help you tap into your intuition. It enables you to reference that point from a much deeper level, a much deeper knowing of yourself, your intuition, and at that level, your subconscious knows what is truly right for you and what isn't, and you begin to make much more intuitive decisions, and they're much better for you. One of the other elements is about aligning with our true purpose, and we all have a true life purpose. We all have a passion at the core of us, that we all have a unique skill and talent, that if we tap into it and we really follow it, it will help us to align to our true service. It's always going to be around service of some sort. And I don't mean necessarily being a nurse or a doctor. Being of service, it can mean anything around helping the planet or helping others in terms of making their lives happier. So even in the arts, things like, whether you have an unwritten book in you, whether you've always wanted to learn to play music, or whether you've got an artist hidden away in there somewhere, whether you've always had this passion to go off and do something around conservation, there is going to be some deep passion that you have within you that is of service to the planet or mankind of some sort. And if you haven't tapped into it, then you won't be currently aligning with your true purpose. It's about really finding our inner trust and intuition. And when we get to that point, that's when things will really begin to move forward for us. It's about having the right environment. I'm not just speaking about our physical environment, it's about having the right people around us. It's about finding peace. I mean, how many of you actually feel that you have peace in your life? Real peace. I feel I have got to a point where I don't feel I have to make decisions anymore. I'm just so in tune with my core beliefs and my core intuition that things happen spontaneously, and I feel very chilled, and it's a lovely place to be. And the Life Ladder program gets you to that point where things come to your life. You're not having to think, oh God, should I do this? Should I do that? Writing out the pros and cons of every decision you're going to make. This allows things to happen naturally. It's about authenticity. It's about being true to the core of who you are. And when you begin to speak your truth, then things will shift around you, and they'll shift for the better. It's about learning self-love. That's a difficult thing for all of us. And the tools in the Life Ladder program enable you to learn how to do that, and the benefits that you get from that. It's about being in the moment. And really, when you align with all the things in the Life Ladder program and you begin to be in the moment, then things will really move for you and you'll get that insight. There's major input that I've developed over the last, it hasn't just been the last 3 years, because I started this journey way back in the year 2000. And I've taken all the programs that I've done. I've spent literally tens of thousands of pounds on my own self-development programs, different books, courses I've been on, people I've interacted with. I have bought all of them, parts of all of them, into the Life Ladder program. Now, Tony Robbins is a key factor. He always says there's nothing out there that is completely original. It's pooling on all the different resources into something that the people you connect with identify with, and making it unique to you. And that's what I've done very much with the Life Ladder program. In fact, Tony Robbins, it was one of his books when I was in a relationship that was really bad for me. And I read just a sentence in one of his books that said, raise your standards. And that was a pivotal moment. You'll all have pivotal moments in your life. That was one for me, because after reading that, I went back and finished a long-term relationship, and it was a much better move for me. Back in 2000, I attended a course called Mindstore with a guy called Jack Black. And that program is all about meditating, but visualizing, setting your goals and visualizing what you really want from the future. And it's an incredibly effective tool. And I got very, very good at it from the year 2000. But I kept manifesting job titles, because when I was asked what my perfect life looked like, and if you haven't asked yourself that, that's something we will be doing on the Life Ladder program. It's something you need to do. What does your perfect life look like? For me, part of me wanted to grow vegetables, live in a cottage and paint and make pottery. But the other part wanted to be a businesswoman and win Business of the Woman of the Year award. And I couldn't see how those two could marry up. So I couldn't really identify what my perfect life looked like. And that was a key learning for me. I'll come on to the affirmation that I used to find that a bit later on. I've taken a self-assessment tool that I came across in the NHS. It was used as a mental health assessment tool, but we use the Lifestar to assess where we currently are. I work very closely with Shamash Aladina, who wrote Mindfulness for Dummies. Mindfulness is a phenomenal tool for tapping into your insight and finding that inner peace. Dr. Mark Williams wrote the mindfulness program that is actually recognised by the NHS as the first line therapy for recurring depression. So mindfulness is a phenomenal tool to have as part of your daily life. It only takes 10 minutes a day. So it's another thing we utilise within the Life Ladder program. Dr. David Hamilton, he's a PhD biochemist, and he was actually working for one of the major drug companies that I worked for a couple of years. But he was developing drugs, and he became so fascinated by the placebo effect that he went away, gave up his job, and spent 15 years researching all of the scientific evidence behind the power of the mind over the body. And he's written about 6 books. They're well worth a read. I use quite a bit of his work. Chris Walton is a physiologist who has a process called gamma healing, which he's given me permission to use in my program. That also is about connecting the mind with the body and speeding up how we can shift things forward for ourselves in terms of manifesting. Dr. Bradley Nelson is an American chiropractor, and I'll tell you more about his program, The Emotion Code. I use that a lot. That is a fundamental part of the Life Ladder program, because for me, it just makes things move so quickly. So many books on my bookshelves: The Secret, The Magic, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise L. Hay. What I do as part of the online Life Ladder program is a weekly newsletter in which I recommend all of the books that I have utilised, so that you can, if you want to do some background reading, there's a big list of books that I send you on a weekly basis, telling you what's in them, what the content is, and what the benefits will be of you reading them, just for your own reference. So some of the tools and techniques that we use in the Life Ladder, and hopefully what I'm going to do towards the end is we're actually going to do a meditation so you can feel what it's like to experience that yourself. Meditation and visualization are incredibly powerful tools for getting your life to where you want to be. The emotion code therapy, I'll explain what that's all about. Hypnosis and self-hypnosis, they are very similar to meditation, and the hypnosis really is more of an active meditation. So hypnosis incorporates therapy and reprogramming. We can actually shift your limiting self-beliefs from where they're taking you on a negative journey to where they're taking you on a positive journey. And self-hypnosis, which you can learn, is very powerful. You can change anything in your life that you don't like into something you do want by using self-hypnosis. Gamma healing is another way of reprogramming negative underlying beliefs into positive ones. We utilize homework because consistency is what we need to be doing. So it's all very well saying, okay, I'm not going to think like that anymore. I'm going to think in a more positive way. But unless you do it on a consistent basis, you won't change, because you'll do it one day, but it needs to be ingrained in your psyche and done on a regular basis. And we use a lot of affirmations and mantras that we develop through the program. Journey journal. If you want to start a period of self-discovery, keep a little journey journal. Write down what happens to you on a daily basis, what your moods are, what your underlying thoughts and processes are, and you'll find it's a great thing to look back on. So what are the steps of the Life Ladder program. Well, I call them the Life Alchemy steps. We can't go anywhere, we can't change anything unless we know where we are now. We do it all the time at work. You know, every year we'll have an appraisal. Okay, so this is what's happened this year. This is where you want to be at the end of the next 12 months, what's working well for you, what isn't, and what needs to change from now over the next 12 months, and what are you going to do about it? We even do it for our vehicles. We take them for MOTs on an annual basis, don't we? What's currently functioning well? What needs to be tweaked, improved, in order for it to run effectively for the next 12 months? When did you last do it for yourself and your personal life and your personal goals and aspirations? Life purpose and passion. It is so important that if you haven't already identified what your life purpose and passion is, that you do that. And we help to do that for you on the Life Ladder program. Now, if you identify what your perfect life looks like, so let's say I want a home in the Caribbean, I want a beautiful property overlooking the azure water with a scuba diving boat at the bottom of the jetty. If I don't feel I am worthy of that, I'm never going to manifest it. So clearing your limiting beliefs and negative program is primary. You can have all the affirmations, you can have all the visualizations of your perfect life that you want. But if you haven't cleared the limiting beliefs and negative programming, if you don't believe you're worthy of it, if you haven't got enough self-love in there, it won't happen. Now, clearing limiting beliefs and negative programming is actually a huge part of what people go to therapy for. You know, in America, people always laugh because it's just the done thing over there. They spend their life in therapy, but there's a reason for it. It's because if you don't get rid of the negative underlying bits and pieces that are clogging up your psyche and your subconscious, you won't ever have the life that you want. And in the Life Ladder program, all of that therapy is condensed into a very short program. Because I've been through all the therapy and I've learnt how to be a therapist. I've tried and tested so many different therapists, so many models. I've found the ones that work painlessly and very quickly. And I'll come on to some of those. We need to heal past hurts and trapped emotions. It's another major core of having therapy. And again, what we do in this program is we use different elements, different tools to get rid of the past hurts and heal the trapped emotions in a really painless and quick way. So you don't have to go through anything uncomfortable. It's pretty much all done for you. Energy is incredibly important. And I'm not talking about how much get up and go you've got when you get out of bed in the morning. I'm talking about the fact that we are all energetic beings. We have various layers through physical, emotional, and spiritual layers. And I'm going to go through some really interesting slides later where I can give you demonstrations of that and how that impacts us. But the energy around us, even of the people that we associate with, very important. If we want it to be positive and not negative, then we have to think very carefully about the energy around us and how it impacts us. Meditation and manifesting effectively. There are 8 different elements to manifesting effectively. Once you've done all the underlying work of clearing the past hurts, trapped emotions, clearing the limiting beliefs and negative programming, that's then and only then can you look at how you can manifest effectively. So you have to do the groundwork first. And then it's about identifying your goals and your visions. As I said earlier, what does your perfect life look like? Do you even know? If you don't know, we have tools so that you can identify that. But when you do identify that and you've done all this background work within the alchemy process, that's when you get these positive synchronicity for significant improvement happening. And that's when you find you walk into a library and a particular book that has the answers to some questions you have will fall off in front of you. Or the next person you meet at a party has the perfect job opportunity for you. And these incredible synchronicities really do begin to happen, and it's very exciting when it does. It may be that the opportunities are already there for you, but you are not in the right frame of mind to notice them at the moment. So when you get into the right frame of mind, when you're doing your journey journal, you're doing this sort of work, these opportunities pop up and you recognize them because you know they are linked to this path of self-development that you're on. Very exciting. So we're going to do the first exercise of the evening, which is this life star. And this is about assessing where you are. How are you going to get to where you want to be if you don't know where you are currently? And if you don't know where you are currently and you don't know where you want to be, you're just going to be on your roundabout and your carousel, and life's going to run away with you and you're not going to go anywhere. So take a moment to jot down the 12 headings on this. But while you're doing that, what will spring out for you is 2, maybe 3 key areas where you know you have negative scores. So let's say 0 is rubbish, 10 is fantastic. Have a look at these elements and think about what are the 2 key areas for you that are a bit rubbish at the moment. And there will be some, they will jump out. And what we do in the Life Ladder program is marriage, partnership, friendships, social, family, they tend to all lump themselves into relationships. So we do a lot of work on relationships. But we do work on all of these as well. Wealth, career, life purpose and passion, they all link together, because it might be that your life and purpose and passion you don't see will ever make you any money, but it is your duty to be wealthy, and we do a lot of work on how they connect together and how career, wealth, life purpose and passion can all come together to bring you the life that you truly want. Your home, social, marriage, partnership, friendships, family, that all comes into environmental. Spiritual, you might not even have thought about your spiritual path, but hopefully when you look at some of the elements within the Life Ladder program, you'll begin to see how important that is. So just take a few moments to jot these down and put a number next to them. And then we're going to come on to a really important element of the Life Ladder program, which is energy. Now, quantum physics has proven that we're all made up of atoms. Every single thing is made up of atoms. But atoms are 90% empty space. And Dr. Brian Cox, when he did his talk at Christmas, the Boxing Day lectures that they do for, I think it's Cambridge University, on the television, he talked about quantum physics and how atoms are 90% nothing. So we are made up of empty space, but 90% empty space. But the reason we appear physical is because these atoms actually vibrate at a rate that makes them appear stable and physical. But we are all vibrating all the time. Every single atom in our body is vibrating, and that makes us appear solid matter. But we're not actually solid matter. We are actually 90% empty space. So we are actually living in a holographic universe. If you want to go and get some books on quantum physics, be my guest. I bought one. I don't really understand it, and it was an idiot's guide. But there are a couple of things you can look up on YouTube which are really useful. One is it's a film called What the Bleep. You can get it on DVD. You can watch excerpts online. It's called What the Bleep, and it talks about all the scientific evidence behind this holographic universe and how when you pay attention to an atom on one part of the planet, so let's say in the UK, that atom will actually change just by having an intention put on it. But consequently, an identical atom on the other side of the planet in Australia will change accordingly. And that is fascinating stuff. But our intentions alter these atoms, and we can actually change our lives and what happens in our lives, and we can actually manifest whatever we want in our lives by working with quantum physics, changing our vibrations and making them positive and visualizing what we want from the world. And there is a lot of evidence out there if you want to go out and look for it. We have physical energy as well. We are physical beings, but we are energetic beings. No one can dispute that every single function that happens in our body happens through electrical energy. We need positive and negative charges in order for every function to process within our body. So we're electrical beings as well. Now, spiritual sensitives, interestingly, can tap into all of our energy layers because we are physical beings, but we are energetic beings. We vibrate at different levels. So we also have this different layer of vibration, which people might call the aura. There's different layers around our body, and our energetic body can be photographed. You can see these photographs. They're called bioenergy photographs, and you can see these on the internet. They can photograph a leaf. Any living thing on the planet has this bioenergetic resonance, and it's the energetic vibration. Auras can be photographed. Some people can see auras. Spiritual sensitives, psychics, mediums, whatever you want to call them, they tap into these different vibrational energies. And you do too. If you think about the times when you may have walked into a room and somebody's just had a huge argument, you'll sense it. You'll sense what we call the atmosphere. But what's happening is your energy body is tapping in to the energy of that vibration. So we are all spiritually and energetically sensitive to a greater, lesser degree. Spiritual sensitives are the 20% of the population that have this as a stronger element. They're much more intuitive to it. Then there's also emotional energy. Now, emotional energy, again, it's like radio waves. These things all happen. They're all vibrating at different frequencies, and it's just our ability to tap into these different frequencies that allows us to understand not just the physical side of our being, but the spiritual, the energetic, the emotional side. Emotions are energy, and they vibrate at a certain level as well. And these emotional energies can actually become trapped in the physical vibration of our body. And that's what can lead to physical illness as well as emotional illness. And when we clear these energies, then we can resolve physical and emotional issues. So our thoughts and self-talk are vibration. I mean, we all know that sound is vibration. And sound, whether it's external or internal, is a vibration, and it's an energetic vibration. So our thoughts and our self-talk will have an impact on our physical and our energetic being. The environment we surround ourselves with. You think about all the radio waves that are around us with our phones, television, microwaves. We are in a constant state of energetic flux that resonates throughout our physical body, our spiritual, our emotional, our energetic environment, and the people you surround yourself with. If you're with, you think about, the last time you had an idea about something you wanted to do. Think about the people you talked to about it. Who were the people that were behind you? 100%. Yes, go get it. I'm thoroughly supporting you. And who were the ones that go, oh, I don't know about that. What about this? What about that? Have you thought about, the negative things that might happen? Who you surround yourself with is incredibly important. You find that the people who have money, if you think about people who are living a life of their dreams, people like Richard Branson, he says he's very incredibly altruistic now, Richard Branson. He said he spent the first half of his life building his wealth empire, the second part of his life giving back. He's also incredibly spiritual, Richard Branson. And these people who are incredibly altruistic, who are multimillionaires, who are going out making major change in the world, helping people, setting up charitable foundations, making a big difference to the world, both in planetary terms and in population terms, they know this. They understand the law of this, and they know how to manifest, and they know how important their vibration is, and how sending this out into the universe can bring it back. And this is why they help to teach other people how to manifest wealth and abundance, because it is the only way you can help others, and it's why it's our duty to be wealthy. It's our life purpose to be wealthy, because it's the way we can help others to do the same and make a difference to the earth. Make a note of this, the Magnetic Water documentary. It's fascinating. It talks about the importance of the living property of water. Naturally occurring water that is filtered through natural living properties of rocks, etc., has so many elements to it that we're not even aware of. It has minerals in it, it has negative ions. Now, negative ions are like the vitamins of the air. They help us to process oxygen, they're mood enhancers. You imagine if you're standing in a forest or after a rainfall or next to a waterfall, which has the biggest instance of negative ions, taking a big lungful of air, and it raises your vibration, it raises your spirit, your soul, however you want to look at it. It just makes you feel great to be alive. Naturally occurring water has that in it. It's also magnetized. Now, magnets work on water in the body, or water generally, to stop the water molecules clumping together. So when we drink naturally magnetized water, the water molecules are so much more efficient, because as they bounce against each other, they enable our body's processes to work more efficiently by carrying away toxins and acidity and bringing nutrients to the cells much more efficiently. They also alkaline the body, so naturally occurring water is alkaline. Now, our bodies are very, very acidic, and it's what leads a lot of the time to ill health. It's what causes inflammation and pain. When our bodies are very alkaline, and when we're drinking naturally alkaline magnetized water, and we're eating naturally occurring foodstuffs, all green foodstuffs are naturally alkaline, our body begins to heal itself. And when we begin to put our body in the right environment, drinking the right water, eating the right diet, which should be very high in naturally occurring green foodstuffs, our body begins to repair. So physical health begins to increase immensely. I'm just going to give you an example of the importance of water on us and our systems. If anyone's seen the Japanese water pictures by Masaru Emoto, you'll know what I mean. And these are featured in the film What the Bleep. So what Emoto did was he took normal water, naturally occurring water, and he put it into a beaker, and he taped an intention. You remember I talked about how an emotional intention on an atom can have an impact on it. He taped the word "I love you" onto a beaker of water. He then took the molecules of water, froze them, and photographed them. And you'll see up here on top left, when he put the intention of "I love you" onto a beaker of water, the resulting frozen molecules looked like a snowflake, had this beautiful crystalline structure. If you look at the far right side, when he did the same thing with the emotion "you make me sick," the same water demonstrated no crystalline structure whatsoever. In fact, it looks ugly, sludgy, and nasty. Now, at the bottom left, this is water photographed from the Fujiwara Dam when it's toxic water. And it was a sample taken from the Fujiwara Dam. Now, the one in the middle at the bottom is the same water, but after Tibetan monks had prayed over it, it changed from the one on the left to the one in the middle. Now, that is incredible. You can Google this, you can go on and have a look. He's got a big website. But that water transformed from one to the other. Now, you think our body is between 70 and 90% water. So if you were to take the water from your body, freeze it and photograph it, what would it look like currently? Would it look like the one that says "I love you"? Or would it look like the "you make me sick"? Now, the one in the middle at the top was taken from a naturally occurring Japanese spring water. And I currently work, as I say, I'm an entrepreneur, and one of the businesses I'm involved in actually has a water system that recreates this Japanese spring waterfall water, so that you're putting the right sort of water into your body. When we take water from nature and we run it through all our filtration systems, yes, we get rid of all the pollution, but we also take out all the living qualities as well. So we take out the minerals, the negative ions, the naturally occurring magnetism that actually our body needs in order to be functioning to the best of its ability. So the body needs to be in homeostasis, which is when the body functions fully. It needs to be alkaline and it needs to have all of those elements. Now look at this bottom right hand side picture. This is also frozen molecules of water, but after they've had heavy metal music played to them. Now, I'm always telling my 23-year-old son not to listen to heavy metal, but he's not having any of it, but hopefully one day I'll get through to him. But when Emoto played things like Brahms and Mozart to these water molecules, the same thing happened. These incredibly beautiful crystalline structures occurred. So when you play beautiful music, classical music to yourself, it's having an impact on the whole of your physical body. So that is definitely food to thought. What are you saying to yourself every day when you look in the mirror? Are you telling yourself you love you? Are you having a go at yourself? So what does the water in your body look like? So let's just have a quick look at intuitives. As I said, intuitives tap in to the vibration of the energetic spiritual world, the aura, all of those kind of things. Now, if you've ever been told you're oversensitive or you know someone who's incredibly sensitive, there is a reason for it. Intuitive sensitives actually have a physical part of their reptilian brain. We all have it. It's called the amygdala, but in intuitive sensitives, it's much bigger. And this is the part of the brain that responds to confrontation. So it's bigger in emotional sensitives, which is why they find it so difficult to deal with anger and confrontation, and they're much happier being in peace and quiet. They will also find their energy is very sensitive. So if you would put yourself in this category, you'll find that your energy levels are very easily depleted because other people will absorb your energy. So they will take it from you. So you will often find that you will suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome, or immune problems, adrenal problems. So this whole program is also geared towards supporting energy levels, but at all different levels. So it's about getting into fantastic health as well. Now, wealth. Why do we think it's not good to be wealthy? For some reason, we see it as a bad thing. And in this day and age, you look at all the adverts on the television, it's all about saving money. So we live in an environment of scarcity where we think there's not enough to go around. There is more than enough to go around. There is huge abundance in the earth, and you can have as much as you choose, provided you are coming from a heart place of wanting to help others, make a difference, and do good. Having money for money's sake is not enough. It's about sharing, it's about helping. But it is our duty to be abundant, because that is how we help others. And what we work very hard on this program on identifying the underlying programming that you may have. And if you'd ever grown up with your parents saying, "What do you think, money grows on trees?" Or I had one recently that came up, which was, I was told, you can't trust people with money. They climb over everybody to get to the top. But that isn't the case. That is somebody else's belief. And as a consequence, she's never had a lot of money in her life. If it comes in, it goes out. And if you have any of these underlying belief systems, then they come from programming. You may not even be aware you've got them, but we will definitely get rid of them on the life ladder program, so you can go on to have abundance. If you have had money coming into your life but going out at just as fast a rate and you can't hang on to it, trust me, you have underlying scarcity programming issues, and we will get rid of them for you. Relationship boundaries. Again, we will all have a lot of issues, and they're not always necessarily our own. It has been identified. We know that we carry DNA, physical DNA stuff from ancestry, but it has now been proven that we carry emotional DNA patterning as well. So all of your programming and your patterning, it isn't necessarily just yours. It can come down through your genes. So in the Life Ladder program, we go through many, many layers, not just yours, ancestral, past lives, whether you believe it or not, but we work at that sort of level. So we certainly get rid of a lot of all your core underlying things that are stopping you moving forward. Self-love, it's so incredibly important. As I said, you can't manifest a life that will bring you joy unless you feel you deserve it, and this program really works on that for you. And I've mentioned being of service, and that is one of the things. If we look at the intuitives, they find it very difficult to work on self-love, because coming from a place of wanting to be of service to others, intuitives and sensitives always put everybody else first. Why do we feel it's selfish to put ourselves first? And this program very much teaches you it is fundamentally important to put yourself first and make yourself happy, because otherwise we can't help others and we lose our energy. So we have to love ourselves first, put ourselves first, before we can manifest great relationships. And when we do that, other people will see that as we become happier, the dynamics of the relationships around us will shift as well, and other people will become happier in the process. We will be a beacon of light. And you will often find, if you are sensitive, or the sensitive people around you, they will have really struggled through life, and it's because they have a lot of life lessons to learn in order to be able to help other people with their life as well. So let's just look at clearing and healing, because it is fundamental to getting rid of your negative programs in order for you to move forward. Now, clearing and healing. If we think about it in Western civilization, and a lot of people don't believe in all the therapy jargon, but it is quite well recognised in Western civilization. EMDR is light therapy, and it's recognised as the gold standard therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, what is post-traumatic stress disorder? It is an inability to function due to having some sort of traumatic memory. Now, what's happened is the memory has become totally stuck, and it's stuck in the energy of the body. When it's cleared, you can move on. And psychotherapy works in the same way, but with psychotherapy and also with hypnoanalysis, which Freud developed, it works on the same principle. You revisit traumatic events, you release the emotion from them, and as a result, chronic physical conditions but emotional conditions resolve. Acupuncture works on the acupuncture meridians, they're energy meridians, and the energy centers come up in all of the ancient healing traditions, whether it's chi, whether it's chakras, yin and yang. It's only Western civilizations that are being very slow to catch on to the fundamental principle that we are mind, body, and spirit, and we need to work on all three elements in order for us to be totally fulfilled, happy, and healthy. Less well recognised in Western world are tapping and kinesiology, and they work on the energy centres of the body. Now, kinesiology muscle tests the body. The body knows what's good for it and what's bad for it. It knows what's truth and what's false. And all of us, again, you can find it on YouTube, find kinesiology muscle testing. You can try that out on yourself to work out what's good for you, what's bad. You can check out food sensitivities, what supplements you need to take. I use kinesiology in the emotion code to identify trapped emotions and clear them. Yoga, it's a form of meditation, and as are all of the martial arts. They're forms of meditation, so they're fantastic to do, but they clear trapped emotions from the joints as well. Guided meditations we use a lot in the Life Ladder program because they are incredibly powerful at clearing trapped emotions, negative beliefs, but in a safe and comfortable and actually really enjoyable method. We use regression and we use sound. As I talked about sound being vibration as well, all of these work. They're all tools that I use within the program, and they all work to clear trapped emotions, limited beliefs, saving you years of therapy. As I said, we look at genetic and past life stuff, and there's a lot more sort of evidence and stuff on the program when we go through it. Forgiveness and guilt are big ones that we need to get rid of, because if we are wrapped up, if we're living our life worrying about the past or fretting over the past or worrying about the future, we're not living in the here and now. And it's in being in the here and now that opens us up to these fantastic opportunities and synchronicities. But we have to forgive other people, we have to forgive ourselves, we have to let go of guilt in order to do that, and that is all part of the program that we work on. You can go away and find ways of doing all of this, but it's just one element of what you need to do in order to live a life of your dreams. The Life Ladder program takes you from step one right the way through on the journey so that you can get to where you want to be. Now, the emotion code I came across last year. It's a phenomenal tool developed by a chiropractor in America, and he identified that emotions were trapped in the body as physical energy. And we use kinesiology to identify those emotions. We can identify where they're trapped in the body. And he actually has a program called the Body Code, which identifies what physical illness they're linked to as well and clears them. But for the sake of this program, we just look at the emotional side. We identify through a grid which emotion is trapped within your physical body and within your energetic body, what age that emotion became trapped at, and we release it using Nikken magnets. And we use the acupuncture meridians to release those emotions. Now, I'll just give you some examples. I'll just go back to that slide while we're on it. If you go for therapy, which does exactly the same thing, you have to talk about traumatic times, and many people do not want to do that. It is too uncomfortable for them. The emotion code allows me to do this work on your behalf, but I don't even need to be in the same room with you, because it taps into your energy levels, it taps into your vibration. I can do it remotely. It identifies the emotion, the age it became trapped at. Now, I've worked specifically with, I've probably used it in over 60 people now, but it's been incredibly useful for a couple of very young women who had such traumatic events happen in their life that neither of their mothers knew the full extent to what had happened to them. And one of the girls she'd basically become a bit of a recluse. She was sleeping all day. She was incredibly depressed. She had dreadful skin problems. She'd lost her social life, whereas a couple of years before, she'd been such a go-getter. She'd gone off travelling in Australia, which unfortunately is where the incident took place that caused her to regress so much. I did the work remotely with her, and all I asked her was, what symptoms, what was causing her problems at the time, what would she like to shift. So she was suffering depression, anxiety, pain, there were some other symptoms. I then went away, did the work, and I just emailed her with the emotions, the date they became trapped at. But by the time she read the emotions, I'd cleared them, so she had no emotional connection to them at all, at all anymore. Her mother messaged me only a few days later, to say her daughter had totally transformed. She'd gone and got her old job back. She was back in friends. She had a social life back. Her skin had improved. She wasn't sleeping all day. She was much more positive. Phenomenal difference. That was just in one treatment. The second young lady went from having a drug habit and self-harming to, a few months later, having shifted her life so much, to becoming a mentor for other youngsters and how to change their lives, and also to having enough self-worth and confidence to go and report an abusive thing to the police and get a man arrested, and go to all her support workers and tell them that she'd done that. And that was hugely courageous from her, but major shifts just with some of this work. It's a brilliant method. So let's move on to the 8 elements of manifesting. Appreciation and gratitude. So we've done all the background work, we've cleared all the negative stuff, we've got you into a place now where we can identify where you want to be, and we can start doing the groundwork for getting where you need to be. You need to be appreciating every single day everything in your life that's good. And if you struggle to find good things, then you need to be appreciating things in nature. Be thankful for your education, the country you were raised in, the air that you breathe every day, being out in nature, anything that you can think of. And you'd have to have those affirmations every day. You have to come from a place of gratitude, your family, your friends, anything you can think of. You have to develop self-love. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I mean, is the way you treat yourself honouring yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you nurture yourself? Are you eating the foods that are good for you? Are you looking after your physical body? If you were someone outside looking in, are you loving yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you saying nice things to yourself on a daily basis? Or are you giving yourself a hard time? Giving yourself a hard time, you are never going to get to where you want to be. Even if you don't like yourself very much at the moment, you have to start telling yourself you do, because that is the way to reprogram, and we do a lot of work on that. It's key. You have to be authentic. Are you being honest, not just with yourself, but with the people around you about what is important to you, how you are truly feeling? If you are swallowing your words, if you are biting back for fear of hurting others, you are only going to hurt yourself and cause yourself problems. The way you are not responsible for other people's happiness, we can only be responsible for our own. And when we begin to learn that, and we begin to take responsibility for our own happiness, that is when things begin to improve. And relationships, the dynamic of relationships, will shift around you. If you've got people at work or in personal relationships that you're having problems with, when you start standing up for your own self and you start putting your relationship boundaries in place, speaking your truth from a place of love, not telling them that they're bad, but you begin to say to them that their behavior is making you feel XYZ, and you're honest with it, things begin to really improve, and it's great to watch how things change. Positivity. Are you a half empty or are you a half full? If you're a half empty, you've got a bit of a longer journey to go along, but we can still do it. If you're half full, great, we can get cracking immediately. Think about your self-talk on a daily basis. Are you a moaner and a groaner? Now, one exercise you can do for the next week is be aware, and this is where the journey journal comes in really useful. You might want to put a rubber band or something around your wrist and become aware of when you are being negative, when you are moaning, when you are groaning, when you are doing negative self-talk. Ping that elastic band and become consciously conscious of what your self-talk is. Write it down and then change it. When you hear yourself saying something negative, change it into something positive, even if you don't believe it. If you're saying to yourself, God, I hate my job, it's so difficult, I can't work with my team, change that. Say, I love my job, I have the best job in the world, my job is fulfilling me, my co-workers are all really supportive. Change it into positives, turn them into mantras, and you will find things begin to improve. Great exercise. Optimism and bliss. You need to be in a world or in a state frame of mind where everything that's going to happen is going to be great. Always expect the best possible outcome, because that's what you will invite into your world. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference, or the universe doesn't know the difference between your imagination and reality. And there are lots of scientific experiments out there that prove that you can do the same exercise in your head as you do physically, and your body will exhibit the same results. Fascinating research out there, and that's the sort of stuff you'll be getting in my newsletters, is some links to some of this evidence. So even if you're not sure at the moment, it's worth looking at the Life Ladder program so that you can build your store of evidence and really begin to tap in to what the truth is out there. Bliss. It's incredibly important to spend as much time as you can in a state of bliss. Now, that means different things to different people. It's not selfish. It's what you deserve, and it's the only way you can manifest a life of fulfillment and help others to manifest that life as well. Bliss to you might be like the guy on the front, like it is for my son, an evening sunset paddleboarding. It might be walking your dog along a river. It might be listening to Mozart. It's different things. It might be skateboarding. It's different things to different people. But what is your bliss? You need to find it, and you need to start spending time in it. Taking time to devote to yourself is not selfish, it's your duty. It's in order to manifest a life of fulfillment so you can help others to attain theirs as well. Affirmations. I've talked quite a bit about changing your programming, and that's where your affirmations come in. We turn your negatives into positives, and this is all work that you can be doing on a daily basis. Driving along the road, I am in a loving, fulfilling relationship. I am in a job that fulfills me creatively, spiritually, financially. I love myself. They're all positive affirmations you need to be doing on a daily basis, and that's why we develop you a daily plan for consistency. So you've got set tasks you need to do on a daily basis. Your goals. You're never going to get a life that totally fulfills you if you don't really know what it looks like. So what are your goals? Even if you can only think about one or two, even like me, you know that you want to own a house overlooking the water. You have a goal. Start making affirmations for it. And the affirmations need to be in the positive and the here and now as if you already have them. If you start saying, I want to be, or I am going to be, you're putting it away in the future. If you start saying it's in the here and now, that's when the synchronicities start to happen. So I own a house in the Caribbean. I have a job that I totally love. Goals, affirmations. And these we develop into a systematic approach of visualizing. Visualizing, as I say, is incredibly important because your universe doesn't know what's real and what's imaginary. So when you are visualizing your goal, you play it in your head like on a computer screen, like it's actually happening. And this is a tool that major sportsmen, Olympic gold medal winners use. They visualize themselves running across the line, standing on the podium, having that medal put around them. They hear the crowds, they feel the emotion, they feel the weight of that medal hanging around their neck, so that to the universe, it's already happened. Incredibly powerful tool we hope to develop. And it's linking it to that emotion of if that were happening, what would be happening. So meditation and hypnosis are very important tools for this whole program and for you if you're going to go forward and develop some self-development tools. Mindfulness, I've spoken about a bit, but if you take nothing else away from this, beginner mindfulness practice. I work with Shamash to develop and deliver mindfulness courses online as well. It takes 10 minutes a day. You can buy his book, you can download mindfulness meditations from websites, but we teach it as part of this program. 10 minutes a day, mindfulness meditation will really begin to help you shift your life forward and become peaceful, calmful, and get your synchronicities coming in. Meditation healing. Meditation and hypnosis can also be used for healing the physical body, for healing emotions. It can be used for emotional clearing, so we use regression, we use visualization. All of these tools we utilize. Therapeutic meditation, hypnosis, they're all a major part of the Life Ladder program. So if you are in a place now where you're not going to be disturbed, we're just going to take the next 5, maybe 10 minutes to take you through a meditation. So you can experience for yourself the soothing, calming effect that meditation has. Now, mindfulness is actually a hugely effective business tool as well. It's the most subscribed program that Google have for their employees. It's utilised by Microsoft, Apple, Google, the Fortune 500 companies. It's a phenomenally powerful business tool. It improves team working, creativity, resilience. It's much sought after tool for business. So I'm actually going to take you through a mindfulness meditation just for the next 5 minutes so you can just have a bit of an experience about just one of the many types of meditation that we use on the program. So just get yourselves comfortable, settle yourself into a chair, take a long, slow, deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just allow all your tension to ease away from your body. Let a long, slow, deep breath out, and then take a long, slow, deep breath in again. Allow your lungs to fill, your stomach to fill, and then let that long breath out. And again, long, slow, deep breath in. Fill your lungs, your chest, your abdomen. Hold. And then allow it all to go. Let everything deflate. And then just allow your breath to settle, to breathe in and out. Just let it go gradually. And just allow your breathing to settle. Very calm, very cool. Just gently breathing in and breathing out. And while you're doing that, just become conscious of the weight of your body where you're sitting. And take your attention to your feet and to your big toe on your right foot. And is your big toe on your right foot? Is it out in the open? Is it confined in a shoe or an item of clothing, a sock? What can you feel around your big toe? Can you feel any air around it? Can you feel any pressure? What sensations can you feel? Can you feel your toenail? Can you feel the joint of your toe? The skin around the outside? What's the temperature of that toe? Is it warm? Is it cold? Can you feel a draft on it? Can you feel fabric or shoe pressure? Or what about the other toes? Take your attention to your small toe. Can you feel that? And can you feel every toe in between, one at a time, counting back from your little toe, all the way up each toe, one at a time, taking your attention there, back to your big toe. Now just take your attention to the big toe on your left foot. Does that feel the same? Can you feel the air around it? Is there pressure from a shoe, an item of clothing, a sock, fabric? Can you feel your toenail? What temperature is it? Is it warm? Is it cold? Can you feel the inside of your toe? Can you feel the blood pumping? And then just take your focus to the little toe on the left foot. What can you sense from your little toe? What sensations can you feel? Can you sense the toenail on that little toe? Can you feel the blood flow? And what about the toes in between? Can you take your mind to each of those one at a time? 1, 2, 3, 4, each toe, all the way up to your big toe. And then bring your attention all the way back to where your body is sitting, the chair. And just take your attention to your eyelids and the muscles around your eyelids. And just allow them to let go. Allow them to become totally relaxed and ease out. Very heavy. And allow all the muscles in your face to go slack. And just enjoy that sensation of being totally relaxed. And then just bringing your attention back to your body, wiggling your fingers and toes, coming back to me and the webinar, opening your eyes and feeling wide awake and alert. That's just an example of one very brief example of type of meditation that we use in the program. So we're coming right to the end now, and just on to the final step of the alchemy steps. And the why is, of course, your vision and your goals. So what would you like your perfect life to look like? Do you know? What we do in the Life Ladder program is we take you through the whole process. So if you don't know now, not only do you know at the end of the program, you have all your set tasks ready and waiting to utilise on a daily basis so you can manifest it as quickly as possible. We create the process. So I've really enjoyed doing the webinar for you. I hope you've got a lot out of it. I would love it if you would continue on this journey with me, because I know from all the testimonials, my life, all the people I've worked with, that it's a phenomenal program. It can happen so quickly. You can really get changes in your life very quickly. And just for this webinar, people that are listening in, I'm offering an 8-week Life Ladder online program that I developed from my one-to-one course. And it includes an initial kickstart 60-minute one-to-one Skype session with me, where we review where you are currently. So we do your star analysis. We look at what you want to improve. We agree your top 2 priority life star areas for you to work on. We identify your key issues, your key negative programmings, what's holding you back, emotional, physical stuff. And we set your goals and your vision. And we set your goals and your vision, and we discover and clear your underlying limiting beliefs. And we develop for you personal specific affirmations. I also include 8 weekly 60-minute webinars with question and answers. So you can ask me stuff as we go along. And there's a different week relates to different topics. One is meditation and self-love. There will be meditations and visualizations through every week, but these are the topics. Week 2 is inner child and forgiveness. Week 3 is relationships and boundaries. Week 4 is wealth and mindset. Week 5 is health and wellness. Week 6 is purpose and passion. 7 is career, work, role and service. 8 is your goals and visuals. So it's very intense, in-depth work, which, took me years to do for myself. It's what I've put in this fast track course. There's a weekly Life Ladder activity workbook, so you get to do structured things throughout the week. Yes, homework, but as I said to you, you need the consistency in order for it to really kick in and start working. We do guided meditations specific to what we're working on. We get you using your journey journal so you can keep track of the changes and synchronicities. Now, it also includes an individual life code session, which, as I said, can be done not even over the phone. I can do it by email. Incredibly powerful session. And it can release up to 15 emotions in one go. So you get physical and emotional improvements, and I email you the results. There's a bonus full day follow-up workshop where we get intensive support to fine-tune your plans going forward. So you've got your plan in place, review what's changed up to date, share your journey so far, only if you want to. But we develop your actions for the next steps. This is after you've already done your 8 weeks. You'll be a long way down the program already. So it takes you to the next level. We do a lot of work on energetic, environmental and magnetic demonstrations. So you get to try out these different things I've talked about and see how they work on you physically. We practice using and developing your intuition and some more powerful guided meditation and visualizations. Now, you get all of that, but there are some bonuses in here. We get a weekly top tips newsletter that I told you about, but you also get a full heart wall session, which is part of the emotional code. It's worth £130 on its own, and it clears your full heart wall. Now, the heart wall we all have, and if you have relationship issues, you'll have quite a large one, and it's a bank of emotions that have become trapped and they block you moving forward into fulfilling relationships. So anybody that has relationship issues definitely needs a heart wall session. It can take up to 3 sessions. I incorporate it into this program for £130. You get your bonus full day workshop, which is usually £147. So you get all this program, your 1 week Skype session, your 8 weekly webinars, your guided meditations weekly, Life Ladder workbook, emotion code session, bonus day workshop, Topley Tips, weekly top tips newsletter, heart wall session. If I charge nearly £2,000 for this on a one-to-one, you get all of this for £297 for listening into my webinar. This offer is available for the next 5 days. If you go to juliewalshconsulting.com webinar offer, you can sign up, you can pay with PayPal, and I will be emailing you with start dates. Now, I want to say thank you so much for attending, and if you have any questions, then message me now and we can just get those answered. Yep, I will be confirming start dates for the webinars. I think it's probably going to be either next Monday the 12th, or Tuesday the 13th in the evening, 7:30, subject to people's freedom to attend. I've been asked, will also be recording them. So if you do miss out on any of the live ones, you will have them forwarded so that you can tap in and follow up. So if there's no other questions, go onto my website, have a look, see what you think. It's going to be a phenomenal journey. I already have a few people signed up, and I can't take too many people because it is in very intense work because of the one-to-one work. So go onto the website, juliewalshconsulting.com, and I hope to get an email soon saying you've signed up, and then I will be in touch to start your phenomenal, fabulous life ladder journey with me. Thanks very much for listening, guys. Take care.